Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Attention warning. The following program is produced and hosted by an old white man that believes in prayer, God, Constitution, and our national anthem and Pledge of Allegiance. This old white man offers no apologies for content, and if you're offended, that's just too darn bad. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning on a Thursday. And a good morning to you and yours. Zeb at the Ranch on a Thursday, April 4th already. My goodness sakes, good morning. Brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a big spring tire sale going on right now. Also, some of our great advertisers, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. All right, now let's go right to it. Our Pledge of Allegiance, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Another old white man. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Believes in God and the Constitution.
You'd better believe it, buddy. Appreciate it, Doug. God bless you, man. Right now, let's go to the weather forecast. And the weather is brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway. And they've got the best of tools and equipment to finish any kind of a job. It's time for those lawn and garden projects, and they've got all the equipment that you need. Don't forget, they've got everything over there, and it's time to clean out those water lines too, and they can help you. They've got the excavators, they've got the Skag lawnmowers like I've told you about in the past. Everything right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. K&R Rental. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
April showers bring May flowers, and that is definitely a fact for this weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting isolated rain showers for today, maybe some thunderstorms by this afternoon and early evening hours. We are expecting a high of 63, 30% chance of scattered showers in the overnight hours with a low of 43 by Friday. More rain showers are in the forecast, high of 60, pretty much the same for Saturday and Sunday. Maybe a little bit of sunshine, high of 61. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
April showers may bring May flowers, and they might have to come in a boat, for heaven's sakes. Weather forecast brought to you by K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Hello, Roger and the crew over at K&R Rental. And call them if you have questions as to what you need. 678-3122. Wow, we got a lot of things going on today, including everything that's happening at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Merv May, come on in.
All right, hey, good set of steer calves there, here to get all our 31, 1.5, 31, 1.5.
That's the chant of the world's best auctioneer, Merv May, over at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard, 1100 Occidental Avenue in Burley. And, of course, sale time this morning at 10:30 at the sale that works for you at 1100 Occidental Avenue. Number to call for sale information and cattle consignments includes 678-9411. Right now, I take a look at some of the partial list of the cattle going through the ring today. Ted Tracy up at Elmo. Hello, Old Ted up there on the mountain, 40 head of really good 650-pounders. Ryan Merrill out of Logan bringing in 20 head of yearlings. And Kelly War out of Grouse Creek, 30 head of calves. Eric Casel's coming in from Rogerson with some really good first calf heifers. Don't forget that. And butcher cows from P-Bar S Dairy, Acme Dairy, Antelope Hills Dairy, Funk Dairy, and Ward Dairy. Sale time 10:30 this morning at the sale that works for you. Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Merv, sell those steers.
All right, it gets the steer calves there here to get $31, 1.5, 31, 1.5, 32, 2.5, 3.5, 134, 4.5, 5.5, 5.5, 130, 550, 135 and a half, selling $35. Zeb Bell get the bottom again.
I'll tell you what, he can give you a chant that everybody can understand, and I appreciate that. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. Don't forget our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Good morning at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to give them a call for all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, 678-0459. You know, they've been in business for over 6 decades. Just think about that. Over 60 years serving you. Open the doors at 7:30 in the morning till 5, Monday through Friday. And again, it's not brag, it's a fact. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs at Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Today at the Burley Senior Center on South Overland, we have ham and beans, green salad, and a little bowl of fruit, and cherry crisps.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Joe. It's not just cherry crisp. You've got to add your special title to it. What kind of cherry crisp?
Yummy.
That a boy, Joe.
Now tomorrow we're having chicken fried steak and mashed potatoes and gravy, vegetables, and let's see, cobbler, I think, tomorrow.
What kind of cobbler is it, Joe?
Yummy.
That a boy. We'll send everybody over to the Senior Center on Overland. Joe Taylor, God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good one.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Quite a guy right there, Joe Taylor. Want to mention this. And again, I'm very, very proud and very, very happy and thankful of the people that work for me and help me on this program. There are some people that you'd never know by name, so I'm not going to mention their names, but they're in Washington, D.C., and they're in New York City. And we've developed a really good relationship with my company and them to supply us with the best of people that are in the news today. Yesterday, example, former Milwaukee County Sheriff, you've seen him on the news thousands of times, David Clark. Next week, we've got a man that was right in the middle of all this nastiness with the Trump administration and the Mueller investigation. We've got George Papadopoulos. And I just want to thank everybody that is behind the scenes, including my lovely wife, for all the help. Thank you very much. And, of course, Wheels over at the station. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I want to remind everybody about Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland and Burley, and another location taking care of you and all your hunger pains at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Yes, sirree, Bobby. Thomas and the rest of the crew with a really outstanding staff. And they've got a menu that is absolutely delicious. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the time at Denny's Restaurant. Yep, it's true. America's Diner taking care of you. And Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland and Burley, the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. Thank you very much. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, and we appreciate you. But there's one thing I want to request of you, and that is, could we take a look at your tax returns for the last 6 years?
Keith, there are words right now that would be appropriate to tell you what you can do, but I can't use them on the air.
Well, that's what Adam Schiff wants to do. And if the IRS gives him that information, that's in violation of the Constitution.
All heck, I'm cleaning up my act, all heck is going to break loose. This is the first such demand for a sitting president, and they're going back 6 years. Okay, now 6 years ago, where was Donald Trump? He was a private businessman conducting his business with Trump Enterprises around the globe. He's been president for 2 years, but they want to go back 6 years. This is nothing more. And you know it as well as I do, Keith. It's nothing more than another attack on the Trump administration to throw him out of the presidency.
Well, why don't we throw Schiff out of the Congress?
Well, why don't we? Okay, the people of California evidently like Adam Schiff. They like this little bug-eyed, pencil-necked monster that wants to just keep stirring up things more and more and more. They like Eric Swalwell from California that thinks he could be a president. My goodness, God help us all. They like people like Maxine Waters. I mean, I don't understand the mindset in this country. We're going crazy. We're going crazy. We're going socialistic. We're going in the gutter with a lack of morals and right and wrong, and people just don't seem to care.
The tail is wagging the dog.
The dog died.
Well, somebody died because Adam Schiff, I mean, we've got to do something with this guy, because if he gets away with it, Katie, bar the door.
You know, really, I don't understand the mindset of people that think that this is 2 years. We've wasted millions, and 2 years we've wasted time in our Congress for serving Keith Cottom, your family, my family. For what? For what?
I don't know. I really don't know what they want from us. They want to take away our freedom. I do know that.
Well, if Donald Trump were named John the Baptist, they'd have his head on a platter.
You've got that absolutely right, because these are evil people trying to make our government evil also.
I appreciate it. Keith, I got other calls waiting. The best to you and Nancy. God bless you. It's good to have you back. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sir. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget the great big 47th annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale. It's going to be up at the Lemhi County Fairgrounds next week, April 11th through the 13th. Don't you forget it. Woo, Fred Snook, they put together a great, fun event up there. Along with the mule sale and the horse sale, they've got all kinds of wolf howling contests, and they've got Dutch oven dinners, and they've got mule trail competitions and mule races. It's really a lot of fun. You got to get up there. 47th annual Select Horse and Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale at the Lemhi County Fairgrounds in Salmon. And later on this morning, we're going to have Fred Snook talking about it. Don't you forget, get up to Salmon next week on April 11th. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell.
Yes.
You know, if the Mr. Schiffs and the Ocasas and all these, got to watch my mouth, Democrats, if they had all this evidence against Trump, where in the heck have they been for the last 2 years?
You know, now, you just hit on a point that needs to be elaborated on, Donna. If you came out in the press tomorrow and you said, I've got a whole pile of dirt on Zeb Bell. Boy, we're going to drag him through the ringer. Boy, we're going to prove that he did this, that, and the other. And then nothing happens. I can guarantee you, Donna, I am going to get the best lawyer available, and I'm coming after you like a cat to a plate of milk. And that's what should be done.
I totally agree. You know, like I've said before, Trump is not my favorite person, but you know, he is doing the best he can with what they're letting him do. And with all these stupid investigations and all these allegations, all it's doing is hurting the country.
Yeah, and the lie, there's a lie that is perpetrated by Adam Schiff, Eric Swalwell, and it goes right on up to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck E. Schumer, and they always look at the camera and they say, well, we're doing this because America wants to know, and that is absolutely barnyard fecal material.
I totally agree. And you know what? you can always tell when they're lying because their lips are moving.
You got it. I thank you for your call. You brought up a really good point there, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Donna.
You bet.
God bless. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Later on this morning, we're going to be talking to our dear friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. My friends over there that have really, really helped me, Nick Greenwell and the whole staff of absolutely A1 physical therapists that know all the exercises, and they've got the hydrotherapy pool to help you get back to being you. I urge you to write this number down and call them, 678-1191. I'll say it again. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Real quick, and then I'll take some more phone calls. I want to get into another story in a moment about reparations. The idiocy and the stupidity of the American public that would buy into monetary reparations in the forms of $1,000 checks per month to black families that in this year, 2019, Democrats are standing up and saying, oh, those poor black families, they suffered through slavery and they're still suffering today, and we've got to help them with $1,000 a month. Oh, my goodness. We're going to talk about that in just a second. Don't forget Jake Spalding and the rest of the great crew at Rain for Rent. Oh, they get there early in the morning. Oh, they work long, long hours to help serve you with all your irrigation needs right now this time of the year. I urge you to get in by the telephone, pick up your cell phone, call them and say, help! Help me with my irrigation season, 438-5065, the number to call. They're a Reinke Diamond dealer, and believe me, they've got a dedicated sales and service staff. And when we talked to Jake, we found out these people really learn and know all about your irrigation needs. Call them today, Rain for Rent, 438-5065, in Paul. Thank you. One of the, and I make no bones about this, and no apologies, ever, but Al Sharpton is one of the most despicable little people on the face of the earth. Well, Al Sharpton is having his great big National Action Network convention. And, of course, he's invited all of the Democratic hopefuls to speak at his Action Convention. And one of the big topics, caller, I'll be right there, don't go away. One of the big topics that Sharpton, when Beto O'Rourke, and I told you we won't call him Beto, his first name is Robert, and we're going to call him Robbie. When Robbie got up to talk about it, Robbie O'Rourke, I don't like that name, Beto, and it's just it bothers me. I don't know why. But when Robbie got up to speak, Al Sharpton asked him, he said, are you going to support reparations for black families in America? And originally, a couple of weeks ago, O'Rourke had said, I don't think so. I'm not so sure. Well, yesterday he changed his tune, and O'Rourke said, quote, absolutely, I would sign that into law. Oh, my goodness. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning, Zeb. I just was wondering if the Democrats are going to cut a check for the black families that have suffered through slavery. How long before they're going to start cutting a check for everyone who's a Jew who suffered through slavery?
Okay, and then
before they're going to cut a check for every family who has Irish descent.
Yeah.
Because they suffered through slavery.
Yeah. And a lot of my relations came from Germany, and they were destitute and homeless, and when they landed on the East Coast, they had nothing but lint in their pockets, and they worked hard and made something of themselves, and whether it was farming or whether it was factory work or whatever the case might be, and I look at them with pride. But, oh, by the way, they'll never get a check because they are white.
Well, and that's what it boils down to. the Democrats are not trying to give anybody nothing to stand on. They're trying to keep everybody dependent and under their thumb.
Yep. Yeah, you touched on it right there. Wait a minute. The case that comes up right there, what you just said, is a case that they have tried in New Jersey and a case that they've tried in California. It's called universal income, and the Democrats are saying that by giving money to people, it'll actually stimulate the economy. No, it won't. It makes more of a deadbeat situation.
Well, if anyone wants to look at a failed socialistic economy, go to any Indian reservation anywhere.
Yeah.
You will see socialism at its best failing.
You know, you're spot on this morning. And what was that in the background a moment ago? Was that a llama or a calf?
No, it's a heifer.
Okay. Man, oh man, I tell you, the old girl doesn't seem happy this morning.
No, she's a little on the fight.
Have a good day. Thanks a lot.
You bet.
Okay. I heard that. Whoa, what's going on? Al Sharpton, you know, this used to be a real pudgy little fat guy. Remember that? And then he lost a bunch of weight and everything. And he thinks he's about 5'1" or 5'2". He's just a little bitty guy. And he struts around like a banty rooster that he is God. Well, he's not. And the proposal of reparations has been signed on by numerous Democrats now going into the nominee race for the Democratic nod for president. And they all seem to be jumping on board right now saying, oh, yeah, we got to start the reparations. And we've got to start paying these people back. Oh, my goodness. And here's one comment that was made by O'Rourke. He stressed that it was crucial for the nation to confront the truth of how black people have been treated in America and that systemic racism exists in the country now. Let me tell you something. There are, and you can look it up, you don't have to believe me, there are opportunities after opportunities after opportunities for people of any race to get up off their dead butt and go to work and grab for the high ring. In other words, work and you can be successful. And I'm sick and tired of people saying, oh, we've got to pay these people. No, we don't. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Well, you know, if we think the government's going to take care of you, just like you say, that previous caller, look what's happened with the Indians. It's, you know, they've destroyed, in many ways, their culture. They take because they be dependent on the government for everything, and of course, they relocated them, moved them out of their homelands, put them on reservations so they could steal their prime property and so forth. But what you're saying about these liberals, O'Rourke, of course, he wants to tear down the border and just let everybody in here, and we've got a real crisis there for sure, but, I mean, we've got to stop it. But, Zeb, you've been keeping the fight, and now, of course, they're going after Trump for everything.
Yeah.
I mean, the battle is not over. They're wanting to get Trump out on any kind of excuse, any way they can, I mean, because he's not part of the establishment. And he wants to stop the New World Order from creating this so-called utopian New World Order under the United Nations.
Yeah, okay, now wait a minute. I want to stay on track here with these reparations and give me an answer on this question, and then I've got another call. How would you, if all of a sudden Adrian Arp was appointed as the czar to figure out and pay all these families, how would you go about discerning who gets a check or not? Would you carte blanche write every black family in America a check? Would you go through records, some and many not even available, of family histories and trees, and try to discern the money that way? This is an impossible situation. And when you start paying people, but wait a minute, Adrian, let me make my point. And when you start paying people by their skin color, we have got a problem that will never go away.
Oh, absolutely. And, my grandfather came through Ellis Island, didn't have anything. He had a sponsor in good health, but he spoke German, didn't speak any English. He didn't have classes at the local college to help him to teach English. It took him about 10 years to become a citizen because of that. But he became a productive farmer in Iowa, raised a family of 5. And anyway, I was born in Iowa, and, basically in very meager circumstances. But most of us that really started out in poverty, and I would say our family was in abject poverty, but we didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
We just worked hard, and we ate 3 square meals. We were honest people, and we worked to improve ourselves. And I started at the age of 13 making money to go to college. And it was hard work, 60 hours a week, at least 10-hour days, 6 days a week. And, that didn't hurt me at all. But most of these people, like you say, they won't get off of their, to get out and work.
Absolutely. No, and this is the problem in America, and it's not just a racial thing. You know that America has lost, and I'll stand up and go toe to toe, nose to nose with anybody on this. America has lost its work ethic that made America great. Short answer, 30 seconds, and I'm going to have to cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, absolutely, Zeb. There's never been a nation on the history of the planet like the U.S. of A. The God-inspired U.S. Constitution has opened up. When that was ratified in 1787, the world was about us. What was happening in the United States?
Hurry.
Because of the freedom.
Absolutely.
The freedom to be able to do things and mold your own destiny, and that is so important. Now the government wants to take over every aspect of our lives.
Absolutely.
And the Agenda 21 and so forth, they want to control everybody and everything on the planet.
All right, time is up. I got to run. Time is up, Adrian. I love your answer, but I'm swamped with a lot of things this morning. But you did add a lot of information to what we're talking about, because I'm not going to pay, as long as I'm on God's green earth, I'm not going to take one of my dimes to give to anybody for reparations. I find that totally offensive. Thank you for your call.
It is, absolutely, Zeb. God bless you. Keep up the fight.
I will, sir. Thank you very much. I want to remind you about our friends at Ark Animal Hospital. Oh, Dr. Bill and the whole crew over there. They are a mixed animal practice that absolutely takes care of the itty-bitty ones and the great big ones. I'll tell you what, I don't care if you're talking about itty-bitty kitty cats or a 1,200-pound roping horse. You just absolutely know you're going to get the best of care for your livestock at Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. They know. They care. And that's what you want. Somebody to help you with knowledge that can keep your animals healthy. Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn. The number 678-1177. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Absolutely. And real quick, too, before we go any further, I want to remind you about Berry Equipment and Rental. Oh, my goodness, I came so close to knocking the water into the computer. That was close. Don't forget that Berry Equipment and Rental, they have 3 locations to serve you. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Nampa locations. And they'd like to really tell you about all the rentals in Burley with free delivery for the entire month of April. Whoa! I'm telling you, they've got it all. Loaders, excavators, mowers to handle everything, all the tough tasks of lifting, digging, pushing, carrying. It's all there at Berry Equipment and Rental. Good people. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley and 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin and Nampa. Berry Equipment and Rental. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, when I read this story, Senator Kamala Harris of California, Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, former San Antonio Mayor Julian Castro, and he also served as a housing secretary with Obama, and Tulsi Gabbard and Sheila Jackson Lee, all of them in support of reparations. Now, I guess one of the questions that comes up about monetary reparations, and it was also included in this story, while supporters of this bill for reparations say they are needed to address slavery and other racist aspects of American history, critics say such a move could cost several trillion, with a T, dollars, without solving any racism. Now let's think about that for a minute. Just because you hand somebody a check, just because you hand somebody or provide somebody money, is that going to solve a problem? I have talked about that on this program many, many times for many issues. You can't just reach into your pocket and grab a fistful of dollar bills and throw it at a problem and expect the problem to, voila, it's gone. It doesn't work that way. Never has. And if you start sending money on behalf of the government, reparations, to a family in St. Louis, Missouri, families in Topeka, Kansas, Bakersfield, California, Tallahassee, Florida, wherever. Oh, gee, look, Martha, we got an extra $1,000. You want to go to the park and have donuts and then maybe go to Disneyland? I mean, we're just creating more lack of responsibility. Why is it that there isn't any offer for reparations to white people? Everybody else gets a check. What did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Oh, well, you can't qualify for any money because you're one of those old white men. We hate white men. What did I do wrong? Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Man, I just feel kind of lonely here this morning. I'm an old white man nobody likes, and they're not even going to buy me a cup of coffee. Don't forget the Bennett Boys auction service this Saturday. They're going to have another good sale, the Hal Rogers auction, and it's going to be Saturday, April 6th in Wendell. Here, I'll give you the directions from the center of Wendell. Go north to 2900 south. Then you go west for 4 miles, and then north for a half a mile. Look for the signs. That's the only way I can find things. Lunch by the Cook Shack. They're going to have tractors, backhoes, and they're going to have all kinds of farm equipment, pickups, trailers, cars. Holy cow, milking supplies, and lots of livestock items. All of this at the Hal Rogers auction, 11 o'clock Saturday morning. This coming Saturday, April 6th in Wendell, and it's put on by the Bennett Boys. Call Joe Bennett for more information, 539-0111. Joe Bennett and the Bennett Boys auction service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys. They sell them all. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Is this Lonesome Zeb?
Oh, yeah. Nobody's going to even buy me a cup of coffee. I'm a white man that nobody wants anymore.
Well, worse than that, I am a white man that is old with white hair.
Yeah.
So you can't top me. You just can't do that.
Well, I am old, and I also have white hair, and like I said in the opening remarks, I believe in God, our Constitution, the Bible, and the Pledge of Allegiance, the national anthem, and if somebody is offended by that, well, take a hike, Jake, because it's not going to change.
Yeah, and your son is named Jake, too.
Yeah, I should have used another name.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the sovereign nation that is our Indian reservations. Now, they have these casinos that make millions and millions of dollars, Do they pay any taxes on that?
You know, you're into another part of the conversation that I love to get into, Indian treaties and Indian sovereign nations and everything else, which I don't believe should be within a sovereign nation of the United States of America. But I'm not going to change subjects and go into that area this morning. I'll do it next week, but not this morning, because I think it deserves more attention on its own merit, and I will get into that next week, I promise.
Well, that's good, because that's always been on my mind. And anyway, what are we talking about anyway?
What am I talking about? I'm talking about reparations. I'm talking about how the government and the Democrats want to start paying families for something that happened 200 and some years ago.
Well, yeah. But here again, when you're talking about reparations, what about the Indians?
Well, we'll get into that I'm not paying anybody for anything. You know what? In history, and I'm going to sound very blunt like this, I don't care if it was Attila the Hun or Alexander the Great. There was always a conquering and a seizure of lands. And then the colonies and the states and the countries started and developed. I couldn't care less. History is history. I'm not paying for something that ended 200 years ago.
Yeah. You know, you talk about, getting reparations. What about people who win the lottery?
Well, okay.
About being successful.
Okay, Keith, I appreciate it. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to get into that aspect of it, but I am going to tell you that I appreciate it, and I am going to talk about sovereign nations next week within a sovereign nation. Appreciate your call. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right, sir. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell, again. You know what? I am a proud, mature white woman who has been working since the age of 9 years old.
Uh-huh.
I don't want anybody to help me. I want to do it on my own so I can be proud of my accomplishments.
There you go. That is an atta girl sent from my house to your house. But you know, when you think about this, how would they ever discern who gets a check or not?
I don't know. I guess everybody, all the blacks, and as far as Peace Indians, I do support the older generation of Indians. That we took a lot of stuff away from them. But this new generation, they're just lazy putzes.
Well, we're going to talk about that next week, because I think it's a subject that should be brought out, and I've got some really strong feelings on that, and I will put together a segment on that next week, Donna. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't understand where the government where's this money going to come from? It's going to come from me and you, the average white people.
Let's just say for the topic of conversation, caller number 2, stay there, I'll be right there. Let's just say that they come up with a list that would be, let's say 100 million families. I'm just using that number. 100 million families they deem necessary of getting $1,000 a month. Now, I'm telling you, you talk about a national debt of 23 to 24 trillion now. You ain't seen nothing yet, my fair-haired lady.
I know it. And like I said, where the heck is the money going to come from? They're not going to pay it.
You got it.
You and I will.
Yep.
And that's totally wrong, because we work hard for what we have.
There you go. Don, appreciate you. I got to run. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Caller, I'm going to ask you a favor. You can either stay on the phone for a minute while I do the weather, or I'll put you on quickly now and make it a short call. What do you want?
1 minute.
All right, I'll be right back. Real quick, our weather forecast brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and the number to call for a hearing screening, 312-0957. You should really watch the signs of hearing loss, and when you notice those signs and some red flags go up, you'd better get a hold of Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids today. It might be where you're asking others to repeat themselves or zoning out out during group conversations or struggling to hear certain people, turning up the volume on the TV, all of this and so much more. Call them today. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
April showers bring May flowers, and that is definitely a fact for this weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting isolated rain showers for today, maybe some thunderstorms by this afternoon and early evening hours. We are expecting a high of 63, 30% chance of scattered showers in the overnight hours with a low of 43 by Friday. More rain showers are in the forecast, high of 60, pretty much the same for Saturday and Sunday. Maybe a little bit of sunshine, high of 61. That's your weather forecast for Zebra 3.
Great job, Gina. Thank you. And again, brought to you by some nice, knowledgeable people at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Caller number 2, you're on the air.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, the deal with the reparation, what about the black families that owned slaves?
Mm-hmm.
What about the black families that captured slaves and sold them into slavery in Africa?
Well, I'll just give you a short answer on there as I interrupt you. They are going to be overlooked because they don't want that part of history recognized.
Yeah, what about Camellia Harris, or whatever her name that is?
Camilla.
Yeah. Camilla, that's right.
Yeah.
Harris, her grandparents were slave owners.
Oh, my goodness sakes. How in the world could we ever put up with that?
I know it. That right there. Okay, if they're going to do it, they need to take the people that own slaves, those families, and they're the ones going to pay for it.
Yeah, but if you're going to be talking, think about this, Doug, and I know you already have. The way Sharpton and some of these other nitwits talk about this, well, it's going to be probably the Negro families. When you start talking about Negro and black families, where are you going to draw the line? Are we going to draw the line in somebody that moved here from Kenya in the early 1900s and they sent their kids to school and they worked hard and they've got jobs and they're really contributory to our society and our economy? Oh, you're going to all of a sudden say, well, because of the color of their skin, they're going to go ahead and get a $1,000 a month check.
Yeah, it's called buying votes. It's called lying to your constituents because it'll never happen. But they are lying to them to get...
Are you there?
I am here.
No, he scared me for a moment. Do you have to answer that?
Nope.
Oh. Well, here's the thing. They want to develop, and they are starting a commission. Listen to this carefully, Doug, and respond. They are starting a commission to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans, only them. And they would examine the institution of slavery in the colonies and the United States from 1619 to the present 2019 and further recommend appropriate remedies. Think about what that just said.
Exactly. What about the Asians that were slaves on the railroad?
Oh, my.
I mean, but to get back to it, they are buying votes. Is all they're doing, and it is easier to convince someone of a lie, like Adam Schiff and Storwell,
oh, absolutely,
than it is to convince them they've been lied to.
But it's kind of like the Titanic hitting the iceberg. You only saw a little bit of the ice, but there was a whole bunch of frozen water underneath. And this is the problem. Once you start paying out people in reparations, you brought up a good point. What about the Asians, the Chinese, etc., that came here to work? What about others? What about Mexican nationals and that type of thing? The list goes on until finally you've got a totally governmental dependent society.
Exactly. And that's what the Democrats have done with the blacks for years, ever since LBJ. They've convinced them they are a victim.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
being a victim, we will pay you. We will take care of you.
And we got to point our finger at old Whitey, Doug Martin, and old white man, Zeb Bell and old white man. Why, they've got all kinds of money. Take it from them. They're white.
Exactly. Well, I think they ought to get a hold of Al Sharpton and make sure he's paid all his back taxes, because I'll guarantee you, if old Whitey like you and old Whitey like me had that big of a tax bill in the rear, we would not be walking around and like he was in the last administration, going to the White House at least once or twice a month.
You know, and here's the funny part of our whole conversation. There are absolutely brainless twits out in the audience listening right now that are going to call this part of our conversation, talking about reparations, they're going to call that racist. I will bet you and your wife dinner that after the program, some of these great, courageous people will call me, and they'll start calling me a racist because of our conversation.
Well, that racist term doesn't mean what it used to mean.
Yeah.
It has been thrown around. It's like a lot of other terms. That's their go-to. If they can't win a debate on facts, then that's their go-to.
It really is. It's the term to shut off all conversation, all kinds of debate, either bigot, hate monger, or racist, or a combination of all three.
Yep.
Got to run. Thank you.
Right.
All right, buddy.
Hey, everybody, let's do what you can for our senior centers. I don't care if it's Rupert, Burley, Haley, wherever. If there's a senior center near you and you can help support it, let's do it. You will feel the blessing over and over again tenfold.
I agree.
God bless.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. Always appreciate you being on the program. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Let's see. Next Monday, I got to tell you, next Monday at 10:30, we go off into a new realm of gardening. You know what? We've had a lot of people call and say, when's the lovely Miss Vicky going to come back on the air for Vicky's Country Garden? Well, good news, gardeners. Raise your garden spades, because next Monday, we're going to start a program called Green Thumbs, Dirty Knees, and Vicky's Country Garden. That's going to be at 10:30 next week on Monday starting, so don't you forget it. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Today, and it's not going to happen. If it happens, I absolutely next Monday will get on the air and I'll be shocked. Chicago, the city of Chicago, has ordered Jussie Smollett, the black gay actor trying to get more fame and glory by hoaxing the Chicago Police Department. Chicago has told him to pay $130,000 or else. What's the or else? You know what the or else should be? We're going to come get you and throw you in the clink. And you're not going to have to worry about getting up for a certain production call on your TV show, because, man, you're adios. And $130,000 is the estimate that they use for manpower, police time, city expenditures, etc. And today was the deadline. And I honestly think that Smollett, with his ties to Obama's family and everything else, that is just nothing more than, it's a waste of time and paper. He's not going to do it. He's not going to pay. And if I'm wrong, I'll be the first one on Monday to say, holy smokes. By the way, I want to say thank you to our major sponsor, and that's, of course, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And it is springtime for a great big spring tire sale. You can save a whole bunch of green stuff in your pocket, I'll tell you, and on their best tires, too, like the Ultra Z900 for your cars. Oh, my, that's a good tire. Up to an 80,000-mile warranty, depending on the size of tire and everything. I'll tell you what, mud and snow designation, and it's on sale. Better check it out. And they've got all the tires for all your driving, your cars and your SUVs, trailers, boat trailers, etc. Stop in and check out the big spring tire sale today. And along with that, the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. They care. With the best of service, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Well, I think the gist of what we learned this morning in our first hour class was when the Democrats say we're going to start reparations, and it's time for us to say you're not getting any more tax money. April 15th could be kind of cold and shallow. I'm sick of spending my money and having people tell me what they're going to do with it, and then they waste it. They waste it. I really have said that we need a tax revolt in this country, and if we could be unified enough to stand these idiotic politicians on their ear, and the IRS, to clean up their act and start serving us instead of acting like Gestapo agents, I honestly believe it's time for a tax revolt in this country. That made my accountant just back up and cringe. We're going to take a little break right now and be back in about 7 minutes with the Chamber Report, and we got all kinds of goodies next half hour. Don't go away, Zeb at the Ranch. Oh my, here we go. Hour number 2, Zeb at the Ranch, and of course brought to you by our major sponsor. Thank you so much, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a huge, big spring tire sale. You get in there and see them today. Also, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. I want to remind you, too, about that big horse sale. We're going to be talking to Fred a little bit later on this morning, but oh my goodness, it's going to be that great big 47th annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale at the Lemhi County Fairgrounds in Salmon. Oh, this isn't just a sale. No, it's a happening. They've got all kinds of fun things going on there. They've got trail horse competitions, mule trail competition, mule races, barrel racing, and they've got wolf howling contests. All of this from April 11th next week through April 13th at the 47th Annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale at the Lemhi County Fairgrounds in Salmon. By the way, too, we want to also acknowledge some really, really nice people that are with us on this program. Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley with Curtis and Lorena. You know, you get in your car and you're driving down the road and all of a sudden, man, it just sounds like that paper crinkling and everything. They've got the best of car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems. Yes, they do. They have all your electronic needs. And also over there at Patterson's, they've got HughesNet Internet. And they deliver and install in the Burley area, so please get a hold of them today. 678-6997. Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. Open Monday through Saturdays, 9 to 6. Wow. With that, I've got one more good word, and he's chomping on the bit over there. He's got a pencil in one hand and a piece of paper in the other, and it's a busy time for him, but I'll be right with our guest. I want to remind everybody about Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward, his family, and his staff serving you. When there's the passing of a loved one, it's a very difficult time. And you want somebody there to help provide the family with the best possible support and comfort, and always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Hanson Mortuary, there to serve you at 710 6th Street in Rupert. That number, 436-5636. And Joel Heward also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for the Mini-Cash Chamber of Commerce report. And with us now is ace reporter Leiden Crane. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Doing well. How are you?
Great. What's your official title with the Chamber of Commerce?
I am currently one of the board members.
So I should have introduced you with more flair and panache. I should have said something really eloquent.
I have never been called a reporter. I'll have to add that one to my list of titles. So you gave me a new bullet in my holster here, I guess. So.
All right. Well, don't be like Barney and forget how to load the gun. Listen, Leiden, what's happening over at the Mini-Cash Chamber of Commerce? I would imagine at this time of the year, look out, people are coming in.
Yes, we we've got a lot coming on right now with the springtime. You can kind of feel it in the air. People are getting out and about more, and right now our big push is for the Minnecaja Women's Expo, which will be coming up on April 24th. We just had a board meeting this morning, discussed it fairly extensively, and trying to get everything lined up and ready to go for that. So, but yeah, we're excited this morning as well because I want to introduce some of our keynote speakers, which will be coming to that event. And,
okay.
Let me just give you some background here on the event. It's going to be on April 24th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in the afternoon over at the Burley Best Western Convention Center. And we've got some really good speakers lined up, Zeb. Our keynote speaker is going to be Jessie Roberts. Now, I hadn't heard of her before we got her lined up to come and speak here, but Jessie is the owner of a product line called Cheekies, and they are a very large clothing provider. They do online marketing and selling out of New Plymouth, Idaho, of all places.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, let me give you some of her qualifications here. She's got they're a top 5 global boutique. They're in more than 3,500 retail locations across the nation.
Oh, wow.
And 2000, she was named the Idaho Business Review's Woman of the Year in 2019, and also had an article featured about her in Inc. magazine in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've got over, I think it's 30 employees in New Plymouth, Idaho, and she's really built a great business there, and is a great motivator, and we're excited to welcome her to our area to talk about her life and her experiences in business.
Okay. Anybody else that you want to highlight quickly?
Yes, we've also got Juanita Jones, who is a longtime park ranger here with the National Forest Service at the City of Rocks, and she is coming to highlight some of the great things that you can do up there. Our theme this year is Hidden Gems, and as we all know, that area is a great hidden gem that we probably don't frequent often enough, and so she's going to come and talk about some of the services and sightseeing opportunities that are available there at the City of Rocks.
Are you a rock climber?
Perhaps in my dreams. I've done it before, and it is a lot of fun. But it's not something I would call myself proficient at.
Yeah, but wait a minute. What is the fun? Honestly, tell me this, and we got a little feedback wheels. Ride that gain a little bit. What is the fun of going up the face of a rock, maybe 100, 150, 200 feet, and then looking down, and all of a sudden the thought goes through your mind that says, what in the world am I doing here?
I think that's the fun, because then you get to try to get out of it. You've got to try to find a way down.
Well, what are your options, big boy?
They aren't very many. And sometimes I think in life we need to have a few of those living on the edge moments. It keeps you sharp. And so when you sit at a desk like me, about as interesting as it gets as a paper cut, sometimes it's kind of exciting to go try something a little more risky.
Yeah, but you say we need to live on the edge. We do that every time we bring our tax papers into you.
Well, that could be true. I guess I don't have that experience very often, because I unfortunately know where I'm going to be sitting all too often, and it's not usually a good picture. But yeah, for those of us who kind of get into city life, sometimes it's nice to go out there and try some of those activities.
Real quick, we got about 2 minutes left. What are some of the other upcoming activities?
I wanted to highlight something else. This morning in our board meeting, we had a couple of high school students come from Decalo High School's BPA team. That's Business Professionals of America. The local schools recently competed in the district competitions and state competitions here in Idaho, and we in our area we have 3 students from Burley, 3 students from Minico, and 12 students from Decalo that have made the national competition in Anaheim, California. That competition will be on May 2nd through the 4th, and they're looking for donations to help cover the costs of these students to attend there. You know, Zeb, I listen to your show all the time. We constantly are talking about people who, you know, don't want to work or they're not succeeding and don't feel like there's any opportunity out there. Well, these students who came this morning, they were top-notch kids, and they've got a lot going for them. They really presented themselves well, and I think we need to support them and help them represent our community, because we do have great people here, and these are our future leaders and business people for our area.
I couldn't agree more. You know, it's easy to say en masse about the younger generation or millennials or whatever the case might be, but, you know, we fail to realize, and I've said this many times on my air, we have some of the sharpest young millennials in business right here in the Magic Valley.
Yep, I would completely agree.
I've got to run. I am out of time, and I hate to cut you off because you do such a great job, Lyden Crane, board member with the Minnetonka Chamber of Commerce. And please, are you going to be on with us next week?
I believe so. Yep, that's the plan, unless we just get totally swamped with taxes, but I'll be there.
All right, well, go sharpen your pencil.
Will do.
All right, see you later. Thank you very much. Lyden Crane with the Minnetonka Chamber of Commerce. Great job. I got to pay some bills. How about I tell you a little bit about what's happening with our friends at Rogge Auction? Oh, boy, they've got the great big spring community sale coming up on April 13th. You don't want to miss this. And they're taking consignments right now. It's going to be at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds. And, boy, I'll tell you, Ron Rogge, Cade Rogge, Jade South, they put on one ripping good sale. So they're accepting right now farm equipment and guns and livestock equipment, all kinds of things. Please get a hold of them today. I'll give you Ron Rogge's number, 431-6187. 431-6187 for consignments at the Spring Community Sale, managed by Rogge Auction Company, April 13th at 10 o'clock at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds. And without further ado, we go now to the telephone line, and a good friend of mine that is on every year for the last, 5-6 years, talking about his great big Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale. We say good morning to Fred Snook. Fred, how are you?
Well, good, Zeb. How are you doing today?
If I was any better, it'd be illegal, and I'd have to come in front of you as a judge. Well, it's good to have you.
Zeb, just a comment before we start talking about the horse sale. Is I certainly agree with you that we have a lot of really sharp young people, and sometimes us older folks kind of criticize them because they don't do things in the horse and buggy manner that maybe we did. But boy, there are some sharp young people. I deal with a lot of them here in our salmon area, and I do a lot at our high school here. So no. I'm convinced that the country isn't going to go to heck with these young people.
You know, and I've said this, and I don't want to. I think we should. And let me ask you the question about the 47th annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale. And here it is. It's ready next week. It starts on Thursday the 11th. Holy smokes! Hold on to your Wranglers. It's going to be a dandy.
It is. We've got our new big sale barn. And those that have been here the last couple of years know that 2 years ago our sale barn collapsed during the winter storm and snow. And so the last 2 years we've had the sale in a big circus tent. And it's worked okay. It's a grief to put up and take down. But hey, since last year, the Limhi County and the Fair Board have got the new big all-metal building, 100 by 250 in place. Really an impressive-looking building. So our actual sales site, it will be bigger than ever, and we're able to get more seating and bleachers, etc. So the folks will really have a great opportunity to view all the horses and mules when they actually sell.
All right. Now, Fred, we've got about 6 minutes, and I want to make sure we get through everything. All the activities are going to start next week on Thursday, April 11th, and the people need to understand that this isn't just a mule sale or a horse sale. It's a happening, isn't it?
It is a happening. It kicks off, actually, Tuesday and Wednesday with Ty Evans, nationally known mule man, will have his clinic here. There's still room for a couple people to participate in that. And then on Thursday, most of the mules will be arriving Wednesday and Thursday for inspection. We have like 75 mules. 60 is our limit, but this year we just kept screening more and more really nice mules. We have mules, Zeb, from as far away as Georgia this year.
Oh, my.
Arkansas had kind of been our perimeter, but this year we have mules from Georgia, a mule from Texas, California, Colorado, all over the Northwest. So just the best quality of mules, riding mules that we've ever had. So they get here, and we start off on Thursday. We have a ride-through on Salmon's Main Street at 1:30, where we ride the sale horses and mules through town and back. Then that afternoon at 5, our local outfitters and guides kick off with the big welcome party, the rendezvous. They have the Idaho State Wolf Howling Championships. And that's quite the deal here Thursday night. They have a big band out of Texas, Tyler and the Train Robbers. So it's a big family event. Then on Friday, we come right back with a lot of the mule competition, the Best of the Round Pen Mule Challenge, the ranch horse. We have 130 horses. The ranch horse, about 60 of them compete. Then the Salmon Backcountry Horsemen put on a free clinic on hows and to-dos on tips for backcountry riding. Then the Mule Trail Competition. And the big highlight at 4 on Fridays, the Jeff Allen Memorial Mule Race. It just packs the grandstand and quite the event. And then at 6 o'clock, the actual mule sale. Saturday, we come right back with open performance at 9, where the people can see all the horses ride, the trail horse competition, then the rope horses at 11, and then the 47th Salmon Select Horse Sale starts. We start the awards at noon, and then the sale starts at 1. That sale will last till about 6:30. Every year we wrap it up about 6:30. So, yeah, for 3 days we're busy.
You know, Fred, I'm going to ask you a little bit about the quality of the horses. You mentioned that you've got really a great bunch of mules coming in, over 75. What about the horses for the sale? Tell us a little bit about the quality and what kind of horses.
Sale, we just don't take open consignments, and we limit that number to right at 130. We have 70 different people bringing us horses, so the average consignor can only get 2 horses in the sale. And this year, I think we have 7 people who over the years have topped the sale, and that's the most we've ever had all come back for 1 year. Last year, our record high seller was 27,000. We might be on board to even break that record this year, but yeah, we have just the very best horses and mules. And the folks can go online to salmonselectsale.com.
Mm-hmm.
Just one word, salmonselectsale.com. It'll bring up the catalogs. Almost all the horses and mules have colored photos of them. A lot of them have videos on there, links that you can see more action. So we try to get everybody as much info as we can on these horses and mules before the sale.
Absolutely, and this is a great place for people to go and meet with their neighbors, make new friends, and a lot of opportunity to just enjoy a beautiful part of Idaho up at Salmon.
That's right, Zeb. It's bigger than our county fair by far, and yeah, there'll be 3,000 or 4,000 people. Obviously our motels are pretty full, but we have free camping there at the fairgrounds. A lot of people come and camp out there for several days. There's 50 to 60 vendors from all across the Northwest, bring all kinds of fine materials and things they've hand-built, saddles, furniture, everything. So it's more like a fair or an expo than a sale.
Absolutely. Fred, tell me, if people have questions over and above what we've talked about this morning, you've already given us the website. Can they call anybody and get more firsthand information quickly?
Right. Our office is right here ready to answer your calls. 208-756-2125. That's 208-756-2125.
All right. Now, I would be absolutely shirking my duties if I didn't ask you about the wolf howling contest. Are you going to be in it this year?
Well, actually, as we speak, no. We've delegated that to a number of our other dignitaries in our area there. But boy, it is a fun event. All the kids howl and the grandkids howl, and then a lot of the adults really are into that. It's quite the thing to see, and everybody gets a big. It's a fun time, the State Wolf Howling Championship.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, 47th Annual Salmon Select Horse and Mule Sale at the Lemhi County Fairgrounds in Salmon next week, April 11th through the 13th, and my friend Fred Snook. Fred, God bless you. We'll talk to you before the sale. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Zeb.
You bet, buddy. Thank you. Nice man. Very nice man. He's a judge. Here comes the judge. Yes, he is. Judge Fred Snook. Hey, don't forget, let me see what else have I got cooking here real quick that I've got to tell you about. Oh, yes, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. Wow. I mean, they are busy over there, Jeff and the rest of the crew at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more, and I urge you to stop in and see them today. Listen, they've got a great big warehouse mattress closeout. I mean, mattress here, mattresses there, mattresses everywhere, and starting at just $2.99. You need a good night's sleep. Well, you need a good mattress, and you can get that from Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley. And don't forget all the carpet. They got a spring floor covering clearance, select carpet, and luxury vinyl, and a lot of it 50 to 70% off. What? I'm not kidding. Stop in and see them today. Great people. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley. They're waiting right now for you. Also want to remind you about our friends over in Rupert. Oh, my goodness sakes. And we're talking about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Hello, group. And they would love to say hello to you. All you need to do to call for an appointment to make sure you're protected with your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. Call this number, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. They are really accessible, very devoted to serving you, and they'll help. Absolutely. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, I got to say this or I'll get in trouble. Don't forget tomorrow night, bingo at the Rupert Senior Center. I get a call, I'll bet you, almost every week. Now, you tell everybody we've got bingo going on. Well, I just did. Bingo Friday night at the Rupert Senior Center. Don't forget that. And by the way, too, if you're over in that neck of the woods, you want to be sure and stop in and do it now. Do it now, because I just have a really good feeling that our weather is going to start to transition and change, and we're going to see sunny skies and 70 degrees. Well, I hope so. And you can head for the hills on your new four-wheeler. Where do you get them? Let's Ride. Absolutely stop in and check out all the great buys on all the four-wheelers, all the accessories. And if you already have a four-wheeler to enjoy the great Southern Idaho outdoors, maybe you better think about getting it serviced before you hit for the hills. They got a great service department. Let's Ride's open Monday through Friday 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. They are there to serve you. Let's Ride, and it is true. This is where the fun is sold. Ladies and gentlemen, being Thursday, and we got a lot of people that are on every Thursday. One of my very favorite guests is this next lady, and I've got to give her a little fanfare, and I've got to give her a lot of credibility because she knows what's going on in politics. Hello, Rita Ramsey. How are you?
I'm real good. How's everything going out your direction?
Not bad. You know, I got to compliment you on your people that work for you. They are so polite and so diligent, and that's a real tribute to Ramsey Heating and Electric.
Well, thank you. I'll pass that word along. We do have some good men that work for
You
us.
certainly do. Rita, what in the world are we going to do as taxpayers, citizens of this country that should be protected first and foremost? What are we going to do about this border mess?
Well, first of all, this is all about changing Texas over to a blue state and getting the Electoral College, taken off the Constitution.
Yes.
It is a big deal. It is not only an emergency, and all of our money and everything else is at stake in trying to take care of these people. But there are just so many facets of this that are absolutely troubling, and the biggest one is that they're the people who want them here, who are the Democrats, and many Republicans, some of the Chamber of Commerce big people, the Koch brothers and some of those, they're just perfectly okay to just have them come in, and they say bring them in because they really think that the only reason they're here is just to work. And if that were the case, we ought to just give them all a green card, let them come in, let them go back and forth. We'd know who they are. But that's not the case, and that's not why they're coming in the tens of thousands. They're coming here for nefarious reasons. You've got the drug cartels that are controlling all of it, as well as the Mexican government. And when you've got bad people like that doing it, nothing good can come out of it.
Rita, doesn't this bother you to the point where maybe it's your neighbors? Maybe it's somebody that you know in other parts of the state or other parts of the Northwest or other parts of the country. They don't understand what's going on down there with an invasion of people that are basically thumbing their nose at our rules and laws and saying we're coming in anyway, but when we get in your country, you're going to pay for it. Why doesn't the American taxpayer just absolutely pick up his little .22 and go down and protect the border?
Well, that's really what we ought to do. And, of course, we're told you can't do that. Remember back in the Tea Party days when there were people that went down to the border and just sat there and said, okay, we'll be the spotters. We'll spot and let you know. And we'll call the Border Patrol and that type of thing. No, you can't do that either. And so it's like they want to have it in their own, in their own realm. But nevertheless, it's you and I, just the regular people, who are ending up paying for this and are going to have to suffer the damages. I heard him talking, a caller called in on an early morning radio show that I was listening to, and he said, there was a girl in New York who went to one of the representatives, I can't remember his name, and told of all the things that had happened to her. She had been brought across by the cartels and then housed basically in New York as a prostitute since she was like 13, and she is totally just, this is what you have to do. You don't have a choice, and so basically she was made a slave. And how come the Democrats aren't looking at stuff like that that's going on and saying, hey, we can't continue to let this happen. We've always been in the victim's corner. We ought to make sure of this. Well, they don't want to hear anything about stuff like that.
Rita, I honestly believe, and this sounds really negative, so chew me out if you wish, But if we don't stop this, invasion, whether we have to have the military standing there with loaded rifles and fire warning shots the first time and maybe something more serious the second, this invasion is going to kill and cripple America. We can't absorb, we can't be the sponge, and we can't exist with no laws or regulations.
Well, we really can't. And, you know, I was listening earlier this week, and immigration was, you know, kind of a big thing on about any place that you listen. And I pulled out a part out of a book, said when the Hart-Celler Act, President Lyndon Johnson said, "This bill we will sign today is not a revolutionary bill. It does not affect the lives of millions. It will not reshape the structure of our daily lives or really add, importantly, to either our wealth or power." And during the debate over that bill on the floor, Ted Kennedy claimed, "First, our cities will not be flooded with a million immigrants annually. Under the proposed bill, the present level of immigration remains substantially the same. Secondly, the ethnic myths of this country will not be upset. Contrary to the charges in some quarters, the bill will not inundate America with immigrants from any one country or area and the most populated and economically deprived nations of Africa and Asia." And then Kennedy and Johnson, who were statists, said, "We estimate that if the president gets his way and the current immigration laws are repealed, the number of immigrants next year will increase threefold in subsequent years and will increase even more." And so what they were saying is, oh, you know, we aren't going to have this many, so we should do this, and we can't let this and this and this happen. Well, this and this and this is happening right here and now, and it's in numbers way bigger than they ever promoted. And there they are saying, oh, you know, you don't have to worry about it. We're not going to have to do anything. Just like in 86, I think it was 86, when Reagan signed the amnesty bill. These are the only ones, these 3 million.
Yeah.
And this is why this is all still happening these 30-some years later.
I want to just give a shout-out and a compliment to a person that's been on my program for over 16 years. And 16 years ago, with his books and all of his blogs and all of his writings, Frosty Woldridge has been spot on. You can buy any one of his books. You can check back on any one of his blogs, and his numbers, his estimates, everything that was going to happen is happening at the border. He said over a year ago that we can expect in 2019 over 1 million illegals coming into this country, and that's the projected number for this year, over 100,000 a month. We can't absorb this absolute foolishness.
We can, and I don't know what people are thinking. It's just really sad to think that we've got people in Washington who are deaf to this situation, and they're just kind of like, well, we're just going to hide under this cushion here while they're talking about it, and I won't listen, and then I don't have to deal with it, and hopefully if I won't have to go back to my state and answer any questions. But it is serious, and when they say it's an emergency, it's not only emergency, but it's a huge emergency.
And you know, here's something.
Close them down.
Here's something that needs to be said. And a lady this morning at 4:30 that was being interviewed in a restaurant back near St. Louis, Missouri, said this, and it's really the truth. When you look at the thousands per day that are coming up to our border and saying we're coming in, you can't stop us. When you figure in the terms of smaller town USA, there literally are towns of people that are trying to come in daily.
Oh, that's absolutely right, and I don't know how you take care of the infrastructure. The thing of it is most of these people who are coming in here, first of all, they don't have jobs lined up, and second of all, if they do get a job, they'll be booting somebody who's here legally or Americans from their jobs, and this is what a lot of the people want. It doesn't matter whether, you know, it's the Silicon Valley saying we want immigrants coming in here so that they can take jobs from Americans that have got college degrees and master's degrees in this technology, or whether it's just a general worker or or what it is, they're going to come and they're going to push somebody out. And I'm not opposed to immigrants. I'm not opposed one bit. My pioneer grandparents in the 1800s came over here from England. And so I think that we need to have it. But they also got screened, and they were told that when you get here, as long as you meet all of the things that you have to come in here, you're on your own, and you better take care of things. You can't depend on anybody else to take care of you. And it's just really sad to think that we can't sit back and say, okay, this is getting to be pretty bad. We better just start processing them one at a time. You can come in or you can't.
There's another issue on this border mess, and I'm not going to give names. They asked me not to give out names when I talked to them yesterday. Talked to some Border Patrol agents down on the Arizona border. And their concerns are for themselves. I asked them, I said, well, what about you? What about your concerns? And they're very, very afraid of the following. They're very afraid about now how this mass invasion is occurring a lot of in the dark hours in the evening. They're afraid about how the guns and all the needles, everything that's laying all over, they can't see in the dark when they go to arrest these people. And they were saying about going into the briar patches and getting them out. A lot of the snakes and scorpions, there's been a lot of rattlesnake bites. And there's also been a great big concern about what are we going to do when we get them. And if we handle these people, I guess that's maybe the term to use, they're afraid of the diseases because many, many people that they're having to work with are sick. There's measles. There's all kinds of other diseases. The Border Patrol is severely undermanned and underpaid.
Well, they definitely are. And you know, this is what's really sad is President Trump has been trying to get some things going down there to where they'll have help, where they'll have ways to scrutinize these people that are coming in, and many other things. And all he's doing is just taking it from the Democrats and many Republicans of you can't do that, you can't do that, we just have to let them come in. And then you've got all of these stupid Democrat people who are wanting to run for president or take down what's already up and let everybody come in, and we'll start letting our kids vote at 16. And I mean, there's just one thing after the other that they're promoting. And those are the kinds of things that people are watching when they watch the evening news, unless they're pretty smart and say, you know what, I'm not getting the evening news from those places.
Yeah.
I'll watch the real news.
Yeah, we need to kind of shift gears here a little bit and maybe go from third to second. I want to talk to you about the Democrats and their reinvestigation. I'm sitting here, and every night when I watch the news and take notes, or during the daytime having lunch and taking notes for the next day's program, I don't care if it's Adam Schiff. I don't care if it's Eric Swalwell. I don't care if it's Chucky Schumer. I don't care who it is. They're not going to let this horse eat in the barn. They're going to keep riding him till he drops on a reinvestigation of every single item that Mueller's report has. They're going to reinvestigate and take at least another 2 years.
Well, that's absolutely what their plan is, and they know that there's nothing there. So does anybody with a brain in their head, because if there was, that would have come out a long time ago, and it would have been the biggest splash on the news, and they wouldn't have quit chirping it.
Okay, well, why didn't, let me interrupt you right there. You made a really good point. Why haven't the attorneys for our President Trump, when Schiff got on the air months and months ago and said, well, I have bona fide evidence of this, that, and the other, why didn't they call his bluff and say, put up or shut up, buddy, and it better be shut up if you don't have anything?
Well, I would guess that the main thing is, and this is me, that it would be better to just keep your mouth shut and let them burn down. Because they know that if they were to say something to try and stop it, all of a sudden they'd be the target, and we know there's something there because you're trying to get people to quit talking about it, and, you know, it would just be another issue for them to just megaphones.
And in accordance with this, they're going into so many diversified areas to try to bring the Trump administration down again. Whether it's Russia or whether it's now his tax returns and they're going back 6 years. Wait a minute, stop the horse for a second. 6 years? He has been president for 2. Why and how come do they want to go back 6 years, possibly 10 years on tax returns? That really, when it comes down to brass tacks, that's none of my business.
Well, it isn't, and it's not the law that he has to produce them either. That has just been a courtesy that presidents have given over their tax returns. Of course, there's never been a multi-billionaire as a president, so it's a little more than just saying, well, here's my 1040 form, you can take a look at it. And so they're just doing it because it's Trump. And I think Trump needs to just stick with it and say, no, you're not going to look at them. And they're going to say, well, we'll take you to court. And it's like, okay, fine. And then meet him in the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will say he does not have to do this. It's just one way of slowing down any kind of plans to help make America good again or anything else. They just don't want to let him have a voice in any shape or form because they're just, tugging at his pant legs just like a little yapping dog.
I couldn't agree more. That was very well put. Rita, stay by the phone for about 60 seconds. I'm going to give a weather forecast here. And it's brought to everybody by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Talked to Leyden Crane earlier, and they are busy this time of the year with all the tax return preparation, tax planning, and, of course, financial statement preparation, retirement planning. They are there to serve you with the best of accounting services in Burley and Rupert. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
April showers bring May flowers, and that is definitely a fact for this weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting isolated rain showers for today, maybe some thunderstorms by this afternoon and early evening hours. We are expecting a high of 63, 30% chance of scattered showers in the overnight hours with a low of 43 by Friday. More rain showers are in the forecast, high of 60, pretty much the same for Saturday and Sunday. Maybe a little bit of sunshine, high of 61. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Range.
And brought to you by our friends that are working hard right now, burning the midnight oil, serving you with the best of accounting services, Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Rita, one of the subjects I wanted to ask you about this morning, and you may not be as adamant as I am, and Wheels, there's a little feedback there, please. When I hear the word reparations, I get fighting mad. I do not want to give anybody, I do not want to give any race any money for anything that happened in past history. I draw the line and say, I couldn't care less.
Well, the thing of it is where do you start and where do you stop?
Bingo.
I mean, their reparations that they're talking about is let's do this who were descendants of slaves. Well, the thing of it is and it was mentioned earlier on in your show in your other hour is, what about the Jewish people?
Yep.
That were part of the Holocaust? What about the Japanese that FDR housed into camps?
What about the Chinese?
Were they given reparations? Are their kids asking for reparations all these years later? The Indians have been getting all kinds of reparations for well over 100 years, and they're still getting them, and it has done nothing but ruin them.
That's right.
And they still, to this day, if you have Indian blood in you, you can get all kinds of free education and everything. So there's all kinds of stuff. Well, I'm a descendant of some of the Mormons that were run out of New York and Illinois and Missouri. And I haven't received anything from the farms and the businesses that my ancestors had to give up because the government wouldn't protect them. So I don't know where you start and where you stop. Everybody just has the opportunity to do what they need to do. We can't all be even, but we all do have one thing, and that's the opportunity to go after the American dream. And that's what we need to focus on and forget about all this other baloney.
I read this in the first hour, and I want to read this again because I did a little research thanks to my lovely bride helping me. And I found out that the Sheila Jackson Lee bill that's been introduced is going to be known as, if they get everything the way they want it, the Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals for African Americans Act. And here's what it would do. It would examine the institution of slavery in the colonies and the United States. Listen closely to this next part. From 1619 to the present day. And then further recommend appropriate remedies to the present day. Now, please tell me, who's a slave today in 2019?
Well, there probably aren't any black slaves on plantations. The people who are coming across the border are going to become slaves if they're not already slaves. The immigrants that are trying to get here illegally, there probably are slaves around, and that's what we should be concentrating on. But this going back business is just a bunch of baloney.
How are you ever going to discern, with the lack of court records, birth records, anything that would discern family trees? Are you just going to go based on skin color and say, oh, you're black, here's a check? Because basically that's what it's going to amount to.
Well, that actual question came up on a late-night radio I was listening to last night, and there was a black fellow came on, and because they said, why don't you call in and tell us how you think that this could be dealt with? And the black fellow came on, and he said, well, I think the way that you do it is you find out who were on these plantations, and you give their ancestors this and that and the other, and any of the businesses that benefited from those, businesses were started up after the plantations, kind of were a thing of the past, and the host brought up an excellent point, which I thought was, after the Civil War, most all of that stuff was totally burned down to the ground. So any of the people that had anything to do with the slavery stuff weren't really even available, and they didn't get started back up and benefit after it. I mean, they lost everything that they had, and you look at all the lives that were lost trying to give the slaves their freedom and get us back to where we were a freedom-loving people and had everybody as equals. What more reparations do we need?
Yeah,
there were hundreds of thousands of people died for that cause.
Absolutely. And where does it come into being that all of a sudden on our taxes we're going to have a little form that says Rita Ramsey, Zeb Bell, Deanne Bell, Glenn, everybody else, you have to pay because you're white. Basically, it's an anti-white scheme, and I don't care what anybody says. They can call me a bigot, a hate monger, or a racist. It's an anti-white. Why do you pay?
Well, that's exactly right. The average white person just has the deck stacked totally against them. They just want the white people to pay for everything, and it's kind of like, it's no more my fault than it is your fault. So let's just go after the American dream in our own way and produce and make America great.
You can't have a country that is going to keep on being free, is going to keep on honoring a constitution that has worked well over 200 years, if you have these divisions and finger-pointing saying, aha, you're a dirty old white man and you've made a living for your family and now you're going to pay.
Well, that's what they do, because when the regular white person goes and asks if he can get a grant to open a business or something like that, the scrutiny that comes along with that, and you don't qualify in everything else, but anybody else does, they're already receiving that, and it's just really sad.
You know, I wish we had more time. I wanted to get into more of some of the current events, especially some of the stupidity that's going on with some of the college campuses, but we'll have to do that next week. I just will ask you quickly, did you hear about George Washington University and these punk kids that don't know anything are trying to get rid of the mascot name Colonials? Did you hear about that?
No, but absolutely nothing surprises me anymore.
Well, we'll talk about this next week and other subjects. Rita, God bless you, and thank you so much for being on the program.
Okay, you bet. I wanted to share a thing that a friend of mine gave me, and he says, you don't need to say my name or anything, but he says, you know what, our country is suffering from COPD. Do you know what that is? Do you know what COPD is?
I do, but not this one, I'm sure.
Clinton, Obama, and pissed off Democrats.
Well, now, there you have it. The news in the news. Thank you, Rita.
Thank you.
God bless. I got to remember that one. Oh, I enjoy having her on the air, and she tells it like it is, and I respect that. Good morning, everybody, and now I'm hungry. Boy, oh boy. This having a chicken breast and a piece of cheese and an apple at lunch doesn't cut it for me when I have to sit here and talk about starving to death with great places to go eat like the AC Drive-In at 601 East Main in Burley. I am drooling to have a mint Oreo shake at the AC Drive-In. Maybe with my favorite, the famous Farmer Brown burger with fries. Or try this, the shrimp baskets with fries. Oh, my goodness. You're going to love the food. Nice people at the AC Drive-In 601 East Main in Burley. Well, let's head over to Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. They have one of the greatest places to get together for your morning coffee, and you can sit there, and you can have your coffee and then say, I would love to have a breakfast burrito. Oh, listen to this. Scrambled eggs, bacon and sausage, cheese, onions, tomato sauce, all on a tortilla shell. Whoa! Knock your Tony Lamas off. Delicious. All of this at Taco Bandito, 2301 Overland in Burley. Moving back over to Burgers, etc. Not one, but two great locations to serve you at 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. Oh, listen here. They've got fish sandwich combo after 3 p.m. And great helpful people at Burgers, etc. Both locations. They're going to be closed on Easter. They should, by golly. And they appreciate your business any other time of the week. Don't forget, great food, nice people at both locations, excuse me, at Burgers, etc., Rupert and Burley. And last but not least, let's not forget Steve-O's at 290 South, 600 West of Hayburn. Oh, that cheesy broccoli spud. It is so good. And don't forget, they've got cupcakes in different flavors every week, along with maybe a buffalo burger or whatever the case may be. Pick up the menu and just enjoy. Friendly people serving you at Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 West of Hayburn. And those are some great places to go eat when you're hungry and starving to death. Right now, we're going to send it over to Wheels. He's probably got a bag of Cheetos or something over there. And the news next from CBS. Oh, good morning. And, so far today, it's not that bad a day outside. I know they're calling for more rain and everything, but it looks pretty nice. Hey, welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you with a great big spring tire sale going on right now. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers represented by Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Want to remind you, too, about our friends at Dino Septic Service. And with the warmer weather coming soon, you probably need to get your septic tank pumped out. You don't want to do it? You don't have to. Give them a call, Dino Septic Service. Septic tank pump and liquid waste removal and, of course, sewer and sink drain lines clean. Call them, and I'll tell you what, they tell you to kind of look at your lawn, watch your lawn, and if you see something that looks strange, you'd better call Dino Septic Service. The number's 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service with the big truck that says smells cargo on the way, Dino's Septic Service. And real quick, before we go to our guest, I want to remind you about the consignments coming in now for the spring community sale. to be held April 13th at 10 o'clock in the morning at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds, and it's managed and put together by Rogge Auction Service. Good people. Ron Rogge, Cade Rogge, Jade South, all of them are working to serve you with this big spring community sale at the Minidoka County Fairgrounds, and farm equipment, livestock equipment, loaders, guns, everything. Call Ron Rogge at 431-6187. 431-6187. Rogge Auction Company, managing the spring community sale April 13th, Minidoka County Fairgrounds. I'm going to go to the phone line right now as we start our next segment on Thursdays, and it's Cassia County School Days, and it's brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. And they say, you're ready for spring? They've got all the spring clothing, absolutely all your needs, lots and lots of spring clothing for Easter and dress up. And don't forget, you can go into A Child's World and pick up an egg, yeah, I'm not kidding you, and you get to open it up and see if you get some special savings on your purchases at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and we're all set, I believe, with a lovely lady. She is a jet setter and has flown all over the world. Debbie Critchfield, how are you?
I am well and recovering.
When you say that, I got to ask you, and be honest with me. When I was really traveling a lot and rodeoing a lot and flying maybe every other second day all over the country, Canada, you name it, it doesn't really hit you until you stop and slow down for about 48 hours, and then, bam, it seems to hit you in the forehead and you can't wake up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And days and nights are messed up, and I look forward to the time when I'm not waking up for the day at 2:30 in the morning, but I'll get there.
You know,
partly I feel like I'm probably just old.
Well, no. You got a long way to go to catch up to me, but you might quickly tell everybody why we're talking about jet setting, because you took a special trip. Give us just a real short, brief dissertation on that.
My husband and youngest son and I just returned on Sunday, actually, from Russia, Kazakhstan, and China. And so went over to pick up a daughter who's been living over there for a year and a half, and took an opportunity to see some things that we never thought we'd see in our life, and feel very enriched because of it.
Absolutely. Well, thank goodness and God's safety net you came home all right. And now we're going to talk about Cassia County Schools. What great topic, and I'm completely in the dark this morning. What are we going to talk about?
Well, we've got a bunch of things in the works as we prepare for the end of the school year, which is a little mind-blowing that we've burned through another school year. We are looking at kindergarten registration on April 9th, and so we always want to make sure that families who have a student who meets those qualifications age-wise and so forth, that they're aware that they can go into any elementary school district-wide kindergarten registration throughout the day on the 9th to get their child set up and ready to go for the fall. Also on the 9th, we have statewide SAT testing day, so the state of Idaho pays for all juniors to take the SAT. It's one way to eliminate barriers that arise contemplating, going on after high school. And so we don't have school for any students other than juniors, so that they can, in an uninterrupted space, take advantage of that opportunity that the state provides. And then again, kindergarten registration. We always encourage parents this time of the year to do check-ins with teachers as we wind down, to see on grades and attendance and fines and library books, find them under the bed and so forth. Just kind of get prepared that spring goes fast and the end of the year is coming.
You know, when you say that, a lot of parents probably, they don't remember about the ending of school. They might not remember about what's going to happen with the younger ones as far as maybe having some adult supervision, or maybe mom and dad are both working and everything. It's never too early to get things planned out.
Absolutely not. And as the weather warms up and we are all happy to spend more time outside, and of course it stays lighter longer, that having these kind of check-ins with your student on making sure that they're caught up we're not so close to the end of the year that grades can't be turned around and we can't make up for, some missing assignments and so forth. And having those regular conversations, we're just coming off of parent-teacher conferences and that hit right before spring break, and typically those are the least well-attended interactions with our parents and our teachers. And so if you happen to miss that, shoot an email, make a phone call, make some type of a contact so that we're all on the same page as we wrap up the year.
Okay. I'm just going to ask you, may I interject a question here, or do you have another subject?
No, go ahead.
Debbie, my stand, and I will not weaken on this, is that I think the vaccination programs are absolutely being abused. I don't think people are taking the care to secure healthy children. I think that they're making an imposition of maybe their children's lack of vaccinations to maybe impair or hurt other families and their children. And I'm an advocate on this program, and I will remain so, to get your children vaccinated.
Well, we'll jump on that bandwagon with you. I will say that that is something that our school district is frequently criticized for, and that is encouraging and promoting vaccinations. We recognize and respect parental rights and choices in these matters. We advocate for good public health decisions, as we have, over 5,600 students under our care every day, and hope that parents will take advantage of what's available for vaccines. In fact, vaccination records are one of the things that is requested if someone's going to go register their kindergartner. And the state of Idaho has mandated that 7th graders, starting the 7th grade, that you have some type of immunization record. We are aware that for a variety of reasons, people opt to not do that, and we do accept, as the state does allow, religious objections to that, and I believe that's the only one that there's paperwork that you fill out. But I'm going to get one of our school nurses on the program with you, and they can talk about some of the real devastating effects that they've seen recently, just with whooping cough and some of these other things that we thought had been eradicated, that are seeing their way back into our schools.
Debbie, I talked to some people back east yesterday in Washington, day before yesterday, and their concerns, and they're in the health business, if you will, and their concerns about the measles outbreaks that are getting bigger and more elaborate around the country. And I don't know why it is, Wheels, we got a little feedback here, ride that gain, please. I don't know why it is that people don't realize the severity and also the possibility of death from measles.
I don't know either. I wish I had an answer for you. And we have tried to, our goal is to provide the information and the education and the science to say this is why we support and adhere to the laws when it comes to enrolling students into schools, and why we support that. Again, we have conversations on occasion with parents who have opted not to do that, but our first promotion is always to choose a vaccination.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're not far away from the school year end, but the work doesn't end when the kids yell and scream going out the door for the last time, does it?
Oh, no. Our teachers, in fact, emails have gone out for the last couple of weeks, inviting and encouraging teachers to participate in a variety of in-service workshops, trainings that happen within days of the last day of school for students, and getting scheduled with conferences over the summer, continuing education, and supporting the professionalism that comes with being an educator is a critical piece to success in our schools.
And one of the people, I got to tell you this, one of the people that I had on a couple of weeks ago that I just really enjoyed, because I didn't realize how much of a quarterback he has to be, and that's your maintenance supervisor. When I had him on the air, I thought, holy moly, he can't make any mistakes or everybody's going to know about it.
That is right. They are very busy, and that's a 365 job. and it's always a little less stressful when we don't have students in the building. But the summer is a time where we go in to hit things that we weren't able to get in, refreshing paint, carpet, any of the kind of wear and tear items that certainly happen when you have thousands of students in a building over the course of the winter and spring months. And so they are very busy. Something else, I don't know why this is making me think of this, but we're also in the process of making some improvements to our website, and we hope to have something by July, at least by the time school starts, something that will make it a little more user-friendly. We like to direct people to our website. That's where we want to funnel people to get information, and how do I know about this, and how do I figure this out. And we are in an ever, changing or in an ever-increasing world of the technology, trying to keep up with what's available. And so we're excited to be able to offer something a little more than what we have.
Debbie, real quick, so we can find out, are there any other construction projects still being finalized or will be finalized during the summer months?
The only one that's outstanding, and it is a leftover from the 2015 school bond, and that is some sprinkling and landscaping at John Evans. And that was put on hold when the school was built because of budget reasons, to see where we landed with the budget. The priority was to make sure that we got the square footage and other necessary items in the school itself. And even though we've been in that school now for some time, we've been able to, with money that contingency money from that bond, not general fund money, we're going to be able to go in and take care of that this summer. So we're looking forward to a completion there.
All right. Any final thoughts regarding Cassia County Schools for today?
Other than we're working hard every day to serve students and to support education and to try to satisfy not only the needs that families have, but looking ahead at what our community and industry needs are, that, education does serve a purpose. And we work hard to make that happen here in Cassia County.
I will say one thing. This time of the year, and I think all parents can see this, and teachers can see it, people like you can see it, but I think some of the seniors at various high schools, they kind of walk down the halls and they look around as if they're saying their own goodbye, maybe with a little tear in their eye. There's a lot of nostalgia this time of the year.
Absolutely, and a lot of patience that's being exerted by families. I have a senior, and I just think, hold on, we can do this. We can get through the rest of the year. But, senioritis is a real thing, and it's exciting to see these students be, first of all, reflect on the experience that they've had, but also be anxious and excited about what comes next. I think that's where we want them to be.
Absolutely. You do such a wonderful job on the radio. You ought to consider being a communications director for Cassia County Schools.
I'll think about that in my free time.
Debbie Critchfield, God bless you. Thank you so much.
Have a wonderful day.
All right, thank you. I like that lady. She does a wonderful job, and of course, we appreciate all the help she's given us on Cassia County School Days, brought to you by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Don't forget all the spring clothes, and stop in. It's a family store. You'll love shopping at A Child's World on Overland in Burley. Want to remind you, too, about a big sale coming up this Saturday. It's the Hal Rogers auction managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. It's going to be at 11 o'clock on Saturday, this coming Saturday, April 6th, over in Wendell. Look for the signs. I can tell you from the center of Wendell, go north to 2900 south, then west 4 miles, then north a half a mile. Look for the signs. That's the only way I can find anything. And lunch by the Cook Shack, and they're going to have all kinds of tractors, backhoes, farm equipment. They're going to have some pickups, trailers, and cars, milking supplies, along with many miscellaneous items. Don't miss this sale. Hal Rogers auction over in Wendell this Saturday, April 6th, starting at 11 o'clock, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. And there is never a sale too big or a sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and an old friend, emphasis on old, I've known him a long, long time, and that's Nick Greenwell, and he is with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Morning, Nick.
Good morning, how are you? My beard's getting about the same color as your hair, Zeb.
You had to throw that in. Well, I got to ask you something. What's the big deal about growing a beard going into the summer months? That's the wrong time of the year.
I don't know. My wife told me that I need a beard, so I need a beard, evidently.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what, best wishes on that. Wait till you zip your coat up someday and catch that, and then you tell me how nice it is.
All right, fair enough.
Hey, by the way, I want to talk to you a little bit about what's happening at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Do you think that a lot of people even know or consider all the different services you provide over there?
Probably not. We try our best to try and spread the word, but the field of physical therapy actually has a really broad scope of practice. So we see pretty much all spectrums of diagnoses and conditions, and from a very wide variety of ages. I think my first client this morning was about 6 months old, and I think I've got a 92-year-old later that we're working on a hip. So we kind of see everything, bone and joint, neurologic stuff, burns and wounds. We do a lot of aquatic therapy in our swimming pool. We do a lot of pediatric care. We work with a lot of people on preventing falls, working on their balance, especially the elderly, and do a lot of pre- and post-operative bone and joint work for a lot of the orthopedic physicians here in town, and kind of everything in between. We do a lot of workers' compensation things, back injuries, ergonomic analysis. You name it, we probably do it.
The thing I have always been impressed about you, Nick, and I know we give each other a hard time, etc., but you are so professional and so complete with your diagnoses of the person and what their needs are and where they should be. Explain how you go about that process.
Well, it's all about individualization. We try not to take a cookie-cutter approach to anything, so I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense to treat every shoulder injury the same or every knee injury the same, and certainly every back injury the same. So we kind of start from the ground up and get all the information we can from the referring source, whether it's the hospital or a physician, whether it's MRI reports or X-ray reports or whatever, and kind of form a baseline there. And then when we do our examination, I think it's really important to gain the perspective of the person. A lot of times people don't particularly understand exactly what's going on with their injury or condition. A lot of times physicians, unfortunately insurance companies have made it to where they've got to move from room to room pretty fast. And so I think education is a lot of the key, is to sit down and really make sure that they have a full understanding of what the problems are, and especially what not to do to make things worse, and then helping them or allowing them to really help create that care plan for them. Individual goals are a big deal. What's a goal for me and a goal for you might be two very, very different things. A younger person might want to get back out on the football field and butt heads with another team, and maybe somebody's grandma might just want to be able to lift their grandkids. And so anyway, I think it's really important to make sure that you allow the client to help establish their goals, and everybody's on the same page.
May I say this, and please do not be offended, or anybody out there in the audience, think about what I'm saying. I think, and because I'm old, I can say this, I think a lot of seniors, when they develop a perhaps injury or something happens with a broken bone, an accident or whatever, many seniors, I think, use that as an excuse to do less instead of trying to do more and get better and be more like they used to be. Would you agree with that statement or not?
Yeah, I think to a certain extent. It's a little scary, and sometimes it hurts, and oftentimes our endurance is poor, and so being educated on what's okay and what to expect and what's required to get through it, I think, is a big deal with folks, to let them know that it's okay. It's okay that we do this, and it's important that we get out and we walk and we exercise and we stretch and we do all these things rather than sitting in the chair and hoping that it's going to get better, or, like you say, using it as an excuse to not do as much. But absolutely. So there again, that's a lot of one-on-one education between the healthcare provider and the client with the injury. You bet.
Okay, now I want to wrap this up by saying I'm so impressed with you and your staff, but all of you have gone through rigorous training and schooling. Give us a little example of what the schooling and the education to do your job of helping others. What's it like?
It's comprehensive, let's just say that, and it never ends. We do a lot of training in school. It takes between 7 and 8 years to become a physical therapist. And so that's a long chunk of time. And obviously you have to, pass your national board exams and all that as you're coming out and getting set up. But the state requires a certain number of continuing education hours per year to keep your license and such. And we try to take that to heart and stay up to date on as much as we can, oftentimes doubling that requirement. I just got back from Seattle and got trained in a very new technique called blood flow restriction training, and it's a method of being able to build strength with a lot less resistance by restricting blood flow to certain areas of your body. And I'm getting ready in the next couple of weeks to go to Boise for a 3-day class on it's called dry needling. It's a chronic pain management technique, kind of similar to acupuncture, if you will, but anyway, it's a push. It's a lot. So there's always one of us gone to learn some new technique or brush up on something and make sure that we're on the cutting edge of the research being done in the rehab process.
All right. Well, I can tell you, I'll be over there in the morning at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Nick Greenwell and the rest of his staff, they help you get back to being you. Nick, thanks. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
Appreciate it, Zeb. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, buddy. Thank you. I've got a lot of respect for those folks. They've helped me a lot. Hey, by the way, I've got to take some time here real quick and tell you about that Women's Expo. You heard Lyden Crane talking about it earlier this morning. The Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce presents the Women's Expo for this year, 2019. It's going to be April 24th at the Burley Best Western Inn and Convention Center, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning and go until 4. Oh, my. Hidden gems. Explore, engage, and empower. Oh, you'd better be there. Listen, ladies, it's only $20, which includes lunch, and it's sponsored by Idaho Central Credit Union, Intermountain Cassia Regional Hospital, Wright Physical Therapy, and Tailored Living. Don't forget the great big Minnecasia Chamber of Commerce Women's Expo on April 24th. Right now, we're going to send it over to Wheels. We'll be right back.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Our next gentleman on the program this morning is an attorney, he's an author, he's a media analyst, and besides that, he's a very, very nice person. And he lives in a part of California where there is no end of things to talk about with all the kooks and the crazies. Good morning to James Herson. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Zeb. It's great to be with you. How are you?
Well, I got to ask you, there's so many things that are in the news right now, and you wrote an outstanding Newsmax article called TV Episodes Foretold of College Admissions Scandal. Before we get into that story, would you mind telling me, please, as an attorney, how in the world you could charge someone with 16 felonies and all of a sudden they are forgiven and they walk the streets? I'm talking about Jussie Smollett. What's going on here?
What's going on here is prosecutorial malpractice. It is corruption. We have a state's attorney in office in Illinois who was elected in part from funds supplied personally by George Soros and in other cases by Soros-backed organizations. She is not there to fulfill her duties of a prosecutor, to put people that endanger the public behind bars. She's there to change the system in the accordance with the leftist principles. And so as part of that, she did something that is inexplicable. It is not done by any prosecutor. You finish the investigation, a grand jury charges a defendant with 16 felony crimes, and a prosecutor then unilaterally gives up the case with no plea, no negotiation, no nothing. She's hung her hat on him forfeiting $10,000 bond and doing a couple of days, I guess, previously working at Jesse Jackson's office. But that is absolutely ludicrous because he had no plea. Then they go and make a motion, and a judge seals up the records, which is also unheard of. Then the defendant goes out with absolutely no contrition and basically says he's completely innocent. His lawyer goes on TV and makes ludicrous claims that the assailants were wearing whiteface, that they were these Nigerian brothers wearing whiteface, and everything is just upside down. But what people don't realize is Jussie Smollett is in no way out of the woods. There are federal investigations going on from the postal inspector, from the FBI, because he allegedly was involved with mailing what looked like an anthrax terrorism letter to himself, having it delivered at the Empire set, bringing in all kinds of law enforcement, wasting time and money. And those charges bring a much more serious consequence than the 16 felony counts in Illinois, because those he could end up in a federal prison for 20 years, and because the state's corrupt state's attorney had correspondence with an aide who worked for Michelle Obama, of all people, and the Obamas are allegedly friends with the Smollets, and therefore this has become a full-blown corruption case involving the Obamas. Jussie Smollett is more radioactive than ever, and his acting career has gone cold, and he's very likely not going to be on the show that made him famous anymore.
James, I've always respected your opinion and your ability to discern and kind of divide up all these stories and make it so we can understand it. I had some of my listeners last week when we were talking about this case, they say, oh, well, it's a lot to do about nothing. To me, it's not. To me, it shows the hate in America of the blacks against the whites and a divide that's being created and even widening every day, that someone like a Hollywood actor would devise a plan to have a hate crime, a phony hate crime, that would have ignited and possibly made the availability where many, many people could have been hurt and killed. To me, this case needs to be reopened and go after this guy.
Well, that would be great, because one of the things you bring up when you say the word reopened, a lot of people say, well, what about double jeopardy? Well, that's where the prosecutor left the door open. There's no double jeopardy because there's been no process at all. There's been nothing. He's only been charged and the charges were dropped. And when you do that, yes, you can bring those charges back. As to your question that your listener had, I agree with you. This is a case of great consequence, because what it does is it basically reinforces the notion that there's not the same kind of justice available for all people. That, justice is supposed to be blind, wearing a blindfold, but this one's peeking through, because it appears as though Jussie Smollett had friends in high places that pulled strings and had a prosecutor do what they never do. And any ordinary person who went out and committed a crime like that in the city of Chicago would be facing the full onslaught of prosecution and a trial, and if they had the evidence, they would end up behind bars. So that's an important part of it. The other thing is what it shows, the mindset of Jussie Smollett shows about the Hollywood environment, that he believed he could improve his career by faking a hate crime, that allegedly he started out with the letter, he didn't get enough attention, So he hired these two Nigerian brothers to basically fake the hate crime. The problem is Jussie Smollett may be an alleged criminal, but he's no mastermind because his scenario made no sense from the get-go. I mean, a city like Chicago that has record homicides, that somehow in the wee hours of the morning that there are Trump supporters wearing MAGA hats out looking for actors on shows that Trump supporters never watch, it was ludicrous. And that they would yell out, "This is MAGA country," and put a noose around his neck, and all of this stupidity that he put in there. And it's gotten to the point where Jussie Smollett is such a laughing stock, such an O.J. Simpson character, that even the liberal comedic late-night people are making fun of him. Trevor Noah, the Comedy Central's been skewering Jussie Smollett. And so Chris Rock, who was a presenter at the NAACP Image Awards, that unfortunately Jussie Smollett was nominated for an award, he got up there and he said, "Hey, they told me I shouldn't tell Jussie Smollett jokes," and he went ahead and did it anyway. Saturday Night Live had two presentations with Jussie Smollett jokes, so his image is blown, it's gone, and he's reportedly trying to get on television on the different shows, and no one will put him on.
Yeah.
And part of the reason is because he burned a whole bunch of people, including Robin Roberts on Good Morning America, by going on there and making her look like a fool. And nobody wants him on because the story keeps changing. And as I said, he's still under federal investigation. And so the producers and the network that air the show that made him famous, Empire, they've already written him out of the remainder of the fifth season, and it's probably going to get renewed, but most likely they're going to cut their losses and go forward without this actor. And his career may be completely over unless he does some sort of pay-per-view show like O.J. did.
One final thought on this story, James, and please, I'm not an attorney. I'm just an old dumb cowboy up here in Idaho, but I think two people that are being overlooked, and I'm going to ask you why, the two brothers, the two bodybuilders, and they were the perpetrators supposedly of this hate crime that was a hoax, but why aren't they speaking out? And could it be that there's a kind of a hush money being paid to them to keep your mouth shut and do not say anything? What are your thoughts?
It's possible. That's possible. I do think, though, they're someone that was cooperating with the prosecution, and theoretically they had some sort of a deal worked out where the prosecution, in order to get the evidence that they had, made a deal with them, and part of the deal would have been confidentiality. They also had a lawyer. The lawyer has basically dropped them, but I would think they're getting legal advice. It would not be in their best interest to speak out because they have legal jeopardy if their deal was conditioned upon them testifying in a case that they can't testify in. It's one of those things. Those two guys are out still, I guess they are fitness trainers. One of them is a boxer. And they have said a couple of things to the press, but nothing of any substance to this thing. But I imagine, everybody's seen this video, which is very compelling, showing the two brothers buying all of the materials they were going to use, the masks, the red hat, the noose, the bleach. The police have the receipts. And this is the thing, this state's attorney, because we see that evidence, the public has seen it, it's gone viral, and we know there's a lot more evidence there because Jussie Smollett paid them with a check. So it's one of these things the prosecutors' organizations have condemned this state's attorney. The police are begging the Trump administration to go in and investigate in a separate investigation of the state's attorney. And that is clearly going to happen because the president has said it in so many words. And then you have two other investigations going on. If that evidence is there, Jussie Smollett is going to face even incredibly bigger criminal exposure at the federal level, and it's much tougher for him.
All right. Well, I've got about 4 minutes left in our interview, and I've taken a lot of time. I apologize. I want to get back to this great big scandal with college admissions, and here, take my kid, put him on the rowing team. Has he ever rowed before? No, but he can learn because I want you to take my money and get this kid in the prestigious school. Wow. What a big story coming out of Hollywood with some of the actors. Have we seen almost all of it, or is it going to get bigger?
Oh, no, I think it's going to get thicker. Look, they discovered this whole web of intrigue by accident, meaning the U.S. Attorney's investigators, they were working on a securities fraud case, and one of their defendants, trying to make a better deal, said, hey, you want to take a look at this that I was involved in for my kids? And he turned evidence on this whole other thing, so they were able to investigate it. And look, this is a cottage industry that basically offers services to parents who want to get their kids into college. There's a legitimate industry that's legal where they try to tutor kids, advise them which schools are best to apply for, how to fill out their applications, how to take their standardized tests. But this William Rick Singer found a way to do it in a corrupt criminal fashion, and he guaranteed it. He said, I'll get your kids into whatever school because I'll bribe the coach, I'll bribe the test takers. Can you imagine what it was like when Rick Singer started this activity and he called up a coach and he said to the coach, hey, I got this kid who weighs 135 pounds. He's never played football, but I'd like you to make him a football player on the team. You know, I'll superimpose his head on pictures and all this. And he said, oh, and by the way, I'll write you a check for 2 years of your salary.
Oh, my.
That's the kind of thing, you know, right out of a made-for-TV movie that happened in this case. And once again, like Jussie Smollett, this is that theme again, that there's two different forms of justice, two different forms of rules, and that the rich and powerful play, in this case, and particularly Hollywood liberal hypocrites, play by a different set of rules because when they go to get their kids in, they're out there working with essentially criminals. And I think that's why this has been a story that's been so big. There's real victims.
Yeah.
There are kids of parents, they played by the rules, and they didn't get in because this corruption allowed people that weren't qualified to get in. And that's a whole other story. Do we let in people that aren't qualified into prestigious institutions of higher learning? The answer is yes, and it's done legally. And maybe we ought to take another look at that.
My biggest fear with this story, James, is that you mentioned the word corruption. We don't know how deep it goes down into the core. But my main thing and worry is, will justice be served? In today's age of liberalism and kind of sweeping things under the rug, are we, the public, going to see justice served?
Well, as to the first question, if William Rick Singer figured out a way to do this and charge parents $25 million, there's got to be others who have done this. So there's going to be more shoes dropping, more webs of corruption. As to the justice, in terms of these celebrities, Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman, there's already been a lot of justice. They've lost all their careers. They've lost their livelihood. They've lost their reputations. and they are, in fact, out on bail facing trial. Now, at the end of the day, are they going to do a hard time? Probably not. They'll probably have some sort of probation period, but they'll have to do real community service, not like what Jussie Smollett did. So I think it sends a message, a very good message, and it's nice to know that the Justice Department engages in real criminal investigation like this after what we've heard over the last couple of years.
You're the best. Man, I really appreciate you being on the program. James Herson, attorney and also outstanding New York Times best-selling author, thank you very much. God bless. Come back soon.
All right. God bless you, Zeb, and thank you for your incredible, dedicated work all these years.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. I appreciate this man on my program. He tells it like it is. James Herson, thank you very much. Oh, my. It's time for me to tip over everything here. I did it again. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by Scarrows Meats. Oh, my goodness sakes. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. Absolutely phenomenal meats. Go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Oh, my, the marinated pork ribs and the tri-tips. And don't forget all the breakfast sausages and the bacons and, of course, the bratwurst. The list goes on and on. You're going to love it. Don Scarrow and his crew at Scarrows Meats, serving you. Number to call, 324-7657. And right now, here's Gina with the forecast.
April showers bring May flowers, and that is definitely a fact for this weekend. Here's a look at your weather forecast. We are expecting isolated rain showers for today, maybe some thunderstorms by this afternoon and early evening hours. We are expecting a high of 63, 30% chance of scattered showers in the overnight hours with a low of 43 by Friday. More rain showers are in the forecast, high of 60, pretty much the same for Saturday and Sunday. Maybe a little bit of sunshine, high of 61. That's your weather forecast for Zebeth Rain.
She does a great job in the compilation of weather facts. Thank you very much, Gina. Scarrows Meats is the sponsor this hour at 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, Don and the crew, 324-7657. At Scarrows Meats, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time, and that is so, so true. We're about ready to come to the end of the trail for this week, and oh my goodness, do we have an outstanding program for Monday, including a gentleman that you've seen and heard on all the news media. He has been very, very involved and implicated, I should say, into the Mueller investigations. And as a look into the Trump administration, we're going to have Monday, George Papadopoulos is going to be on our program during the 9:30 segment, and we'll look forward to that. I want to remind you, too, about our major sponsor. And I had to lean over and get that, and I knocked everything almost off again. This is not my day for being coordinated here. It says I got too much stuff on my desk, I guess. I want to remind our major sponsor is having a great big spring tire sale. Who is that? Well, it's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Absolutely. They've got all the tires, all the tread designs, all the different sizes, and saving you money for your car, your pickup, your SUVs, horse trailers, boat trailers, whatever. You get in there today, and along with the tire sale, all the big brake service, quality brake service from highly trained brake technicians. I know firsthand they do a wonderful job. Front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, all of this, but service. Always to you. They really help and serve you. It's your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. Nobody better. They're the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Whew. What a week. Busy week. And we're going to have another big week next week. So I invite you to tune in right here on K-Bar, 12:30 a.m. and then streaming live all over the world on ZebBell.com. We get a lot of response all over the country. Thank you very much. And we always end the program by saying the way things were are the way things ought to be. And the world needs more cowboys. See you next Monday at 8:06. You have a great weekend.